morning, everyone. I'm Carrie Jacobson with Jacobson Family Law, where we keep the drama out of your divorce. Thank you again for joining us today for our Finance Friday. I know I've been out the last couple of weeks. We were on vacation in Hawaii, and fortunately we were not impacted by the terrible wildfires in Maui, but we did have wonderful time in Hawaii. But back to it, and today we're going to be talking about the different types of alimony in Maryland. So if you have questions about alimony in general, if you have questions about the types of alimony that Maryland has and can award, please feel free to drop a comment and I will be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we're going to talk about the different types. You will see that there are other types that may be applicable in other jurisdictions. So if you may live outside of Maryland, there may be other types of alimony that may apply in your particular state, but primarily our focus today is types of alimony that can be awarded in Maryland. So with that, I'm going to share my screen, and this is from our e-course, Securing Your Financial Freedom, the Essentials of Alimony Guide. So if you have additional questions about alimony and want to get more information, please feel free to download that from our stand store. I'll put that up in a little bit. So the most, one of the things that many people think of when they think about alimony is permanent or indefinite alimony. And this is a form of alimony that it continues indefinitely, typically until either the spouse passes away or until the recipient begins to sometimes cohabitate or if they get remarried. There also could be a particular time where it could be modified if there are significant changes in circumstances, whether the payor's income has significantly decreased. That could be because of a loss of job, it could be because of retirement or disability, that sort of thing. Or it could be that the recipient's income has significantly increased or the financial circumstances have changed in some major way since the alimony order has been issued. This is typically a type of alimony that we see in rare circumstances. The most common scenarios where this may be awarded or agreed upon is if there has been, the marriage is a very long-term marriage, typically 20 years or longer. The other thing is if the recipient spouse either has not worked, has worked very little, or has very little earning capacity. Maybe he or she is disabled and is unable to work, or simply will never be self-supporting because they don't have the skills or the ability to earn a self-supporting income. Also, if there's a very large discrepancy between the spouses with regards to income earning. So that is when permanent or indefinite alimony may apply. The most common type of alimony in Maryland is something called rehabilitative. And rehabilitative alimony's purpose is to support the recipient spouse for a specific duration by providing financial assistance while they acquire education, skills, or training in order to be self-supporting. So this is the most common, as I mentioned. Usually it's a situation where the recipient spouse has possibly been out of the workforce for a period of years, or maybe has been working at a lower earning job, and they need time to get recertified or to go back into the workforce and get more training. Maybe it's they need to go back to school for a little while to get more education or training or skills in order to get a job where they will then be self-supporting. So this is usually a situation where we're going to see that alimony is paid for a specific duration or a specific number of years. It could be as little as 1 to 2 years, all the way up to, possibly 10 years. So it varies depending on the particular circumstances, but there is typically in this situation an end date. So that is something to consider. The other type of alimony that is common in Maryland is temporary alimony. In Maryland, we refer to that as pendente lite alimony, and it's typically awarded during the divorce proceedings itself so that there is some immediate financial support until a final decision is made on what the alimony is going to be. So this is most commonly addressed in a situation where they may be pending litigation, and one spouse is ordered to pay temporary or pendente lite alimony until they have either come to an agreement or a court has made a final award with regards to alimony. So this is, just to kind of keep things status quo as much as possible, so that if there's a situation where there's been a stay-at-home parent or a lower earning parent or spouse in the relationship and a higher earning spouse in the relationship, and that higher earning spouse needs to continue to contribute so that the lower earning spouse can meet his or her needs during the pendency of the divorce proceedings. As I mentioned before, in other jurisdictions, there may be other types of alimony. And something that we even see here in Maryland is something called lump sum alimony. Usually we refer to it as a buyout. So it could be that the parties agree that there's going to be an alimony buyout, such that there's one lump sum payment from one spouse to the other that takes care of what their alimony obligation otherwise would have been if it was calculated on a monthly basis. In other jurisdictions, there's also something called reimbursement alimony, and that's awarded when one spouse needs to be reimbursed for other specific contributions that were made during the marriage. That could be education, it could be career advancement. This is not something we typically see in the context of Maryland. Now, there's lots of different ways that these alimony payments can be calculated. There's lots of factors as to what goes into whether or not you would qualify for any of these types of support. But these are the types of alimony in Maryland that we commonly see. So if you are interested in learning more about alimony in general, you should check out our e-course, Securing Your Financial Future, the Essential Guide to Alimony. That's in our Stand store, and the link is right there. If you have other questions as to whether or not you are eligible for alimony or whether you may have to pay alimony support, contact us for a consultation, and we would be happy to work with you and help you, guide you through this process. We look forward to working with you. Have a great day.